Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack. We also have
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
today we have another Spider-Man brand new day trailer. And sidebar, just been arguing with someone for a while about this and my assessment of him being Jimmy Olsen, the Tom Holland Spider-Man and all that. So I don't know how this is gonna come out, y'all. So let's watch it. You ready?
Always.
All right, here we go.
What is happening to me? Did you miss me, Spidey? I'm losing my mind. I'm totally out of control. I gotta fix whatever this is right now. Final semester MIT.
Who do you think is actually watching these?
Maybe someone.
Well, bye, someone.
What the? Dr. Ben, you found a way to suppress mutating DNA, right?
If we simulate this up, we'll run.
Could you get rid of the bad aspects but keep the good?
How would you decide what parts of nature are good or bad?
Well, sorry about that.
You're not one of my students, are you? It appears we're faced with a threat we can't control. One we can't even see. No one is immune to it. Can sense it.
What do you think they're looking for?
Oh, see, you stumbled across my board. I'm not one of those weirdos, I swear.
He's a little weird. I'm MJ.
You two don't know each other?
Oh, Spider-Man, you okay? Did you get rid of that monster inside you? I think I might go see how MJ's doing. You're not gonna get away with this.
But he might.
Where did you get that big? But you're in danger. You just have to trust me.
Fun. This whole thing being really scary.
Who the hell is that?
Who the hell are you?
Frank, please. I don't have anywhere else to go.
Are the people who love you just gonna let me know myself? That's not you because you're you.
If you're gonna do something, you better do it now.
Never forget that. How powerful.
I miss you, mate. Oh, all right, just give me a sec. Give me a sec. I'm not in high school anymore. Oh, did you stretch? You a big stretcher? It's so good for you. You ready?
Right. It's all yours.
Well, hey, I'm already on board. I liked everything I've seen so far. This is, dare I say, this is sort of like the Marvel Universe that I grew up with. There's a whole bunch of things running around. Spidey's at the focus, and they're really going for it. All of these different moving parts, but they seem to be moving together. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. When is this now? July 31st? July 31st can't come soon enough.
For me, the hard part
Uh-oh.
was that
Uh-oh.
one of my favorite villains is a Scorpion, and his hook was, "What do you, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 20?" He said, "What does Spider-Man do with a character who's stronger and faster than him?" And uh, he was outclassed um, by the Scorpion physically, and in the end, he had to deal with stuff in a non-heroic way of blinding him, putting his feet to webbing his feet to the floor so he couldn't move. And at that point, and only that point, he could use his spider sense to deal with the scorpion speed. And then he was able to finish it. But then when he went back to school, he was a mess. Like you could see his bruise, and people were like, "Where you been?" And he was pretty upset that people were having issue, and then just to have him to kind of be a throwaway villain, because this is basically the story that a lot of people do, of having somebody stronger than Spider-Man and having Spider-Man somehow win, but they've turned it into instead of him using his head and using his wits or figuring some cure or some antidote to take away the person's powers. The answer now is for Spider-Man to turn it to David and Goliath, because Stan was on the line in the early issues, him and Ditko, where they wouldn't do a straightforward David and Goliath every point. Obviously Doc Ock, the arms were a big amount of trouble, more than Doc Ock himself when Spider-Man got close. But they kind of tried to stay away from him. So you had villains like the Scorpion, the Lizard, who was stronger. And then as he went along, John Romita, says he was trying to get through those things all the time. It just became kind of fist ups and not kind of a thing where he was using his head, because it was clearly a story about a man, a young man who was using his head to defeat these villains, and it became David and Goliath. But actually, David is actually stronger than Goliath. So if he just puts his mind to it, he's going to win. Which became even at 9 years old, became kind of generic for me. So it's kind of sad. So I've stuck with the Marvel tales at the same time, so I could still read Spider-Man. So you got a great villain in that, but he's not here. MJ knows who they're talking to, because if you know, this is like adults talking about social media. You're talking to your followers. If one of them responds, hey, somebody listen to it. But that's kind of thing is. But I don't look forward to Spider-Man fighting somebody possessing the Hulk and having to figure his way to obviously beat the hell out of the Hulk, because it'd be like, I can't have you kill MJ, and I'm gonna fight my little heart out, and somehow his fists become, as hard as adamantium to keep punching the Hulk, which they established in the early, I think it's 13, that Spider-Man could hurt his hand on them. The ninjas, I'm sorry, I don't see them doing anything to Spider-Man. I'm going the opposite way for the ninjas. What are having these Wolverine scenes where the ninjas are jumping at him? I don't see it. Unless you're the 70s, when martial arts used to be able to do something to Spider-Man, and it would be more countering, not going physical towards him, like Iron Fist or Steel Serpent or something like that. So, but at the same time, this Spider-Man, going at the David Goliath route, I don't see the ninjas doing anything to him. I have to go the other way and say he's going to mop the floor with these guys. But they would have been great for a Daredevil scene. But like this, what can you do? So it's going to be a real short moment for these guys. So ultimately, at the hard part is the Peter Parker drama, because it doesn't read to me like, I think that was a point about me arguing, is that if you look at Superman versus the Atom Man, you look at the Superman TV show, you look at Christopher Reeve, look at Dean Cain, and to a lesser extent, the other actors in the movies, they somehow portrayed an aspect of what was in the comic books. Even if Chris Reeve was more leaning towards Cary Grant and bringing a baby, it felt true to the comic books, even though he was doing something that was already in Hollywood. He was capturing that portion for his Chris Reeve. It felt real. And for me, even, this whole run has kind of been not even Ultimate, because Ultimate was a story about Peter Parker losing his Uncle Ben, not looking for kind of a father figure, or losing his friends, which is a little too cosmic. Yes, he would push them away, but or push away the female. He didn't have too many male friends. I think in the Romita ones, he did push them away from time to time, but they always seem to come back. But it's just tough to see, because Peter Parker is closer to me than even Spider-Man, and it feels like he's kind of lost. So, but the action is all there. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody, even though the Hulk won't be able to break the webs for some reason. You can't. I can't. I'm not.
You really think they're going to do that?
You don't think they're going to kick the Hulk's ass?
You think they're going to punk the Hulk like that? Hulk can't break webs.
I know. I think that he's just going to get his ass beat. I think I was going to get out of that.
By who? Spider-Man?
Yeah, I mean, what do we got to the Hulk here? What are you having him? It's not going to be him running till he got to cure him. And that then I will say if he cures him like he would do the Lizard, like the Connors, because they play up being able to play up the Kurt Connors and the Lizard, where he
What?
actually instead of
Stab
fights
him with the syringe?
or some way put the force the antidote down his throat or put the arm back, put the arm bar back on his arm, and then he goes back to being Bruce Banner. And yeah, but
You
obviously
really think
there's an entity. Oh, sorry, you didn't
wow.
go. I was talking about
No, you really think they're gonna poke the Hulk? You think they're gonna just like, hey, we're gonna put him in the armbar?
no, I
We're
mean the
gonna put
arm
him in
bar,
the
like the
armbar.
thing that he had his arm. I think the thing that I called it the arm bar,
We're
whatever
gonna,
that
we're
thing.
gonna put him in. We're gonna put the Hulk in the half Nelson.
It's too close. The hardest part is looking at was it Annual 3, and it stands description of staggering the Hulk. If the Hulk's on the floor and you're webbing him up, I think he's more than dazed. He's a little dazed here, and so that's what it's in the comic books. It's in the comic books. He did stagger him in the comic books, and that sort of thing. Or Bruce Banner saying he's not as powerful. It's like that sort of thing. So I just I would. There's clearly there's a bunch of AI villains that they show besides the Scorpion, but then we had this guy that's hopping around into like I guess like what was that thing in was that Venom where the villain was hopping around into people's bodies or something like that? There was some entity taking over people. There's some villain they haven't revealed that's hopping around from bodies, and we haven't even seen.
Shadow King.
Hmm?
Shadow King.
Do you think the Shadow King is going to be in this?
Well, everybody keeps saying Jean Grey, and that just doesn't seem like her power set to jump from head to head. But it's in the purview of the Shadow King.
Damn you! Why? Why would you mention the Shadow King? It's 249, or was it? No, it's 200 and maybe 47 to issue 179, like almost 3 years of X-Men in hell. Like the X-Men went from Australia to X-Men dealing with the Shadow King, which would have been a storyline to make it into a Days of Future Past, which would be a little different. They would be hounds of the Shadow King. But it was going to be a non-ending story. It was going to go on forever. And the fact that you brought this up, you've hurt my heart. So I do not. You're right. And that's his power set. He took over Karma, and he took over some federal agent. So he does definitely that's in his wheelhouse. And because Xavier seemingly killed him, but then he showed back up as as Karma. Then he showed back up as but you also have regretfully Malice, the excellent Malice character, and I would be even worse, be even more upset if Malice took over Polaris and was the had the who was it the had the thing was it it's not the what's that hairstyle the damn
The Mohawk,
no
the
the
mullet.
mullet what's the name Polaris with a mullet, and that's almost as Sue Storm had it for 9 issues or something like that. Tony Stark had one. Peter Parker had a beginning mullet. You look at those, maybe even the first issue of Todd's, but he took it. He got rid of the mullet as he went along. But John Romita Jr. was like, "We getting everybody a mullet," but it wasn't. Polaris wasn't the one he gave, but Tony Stark had one, and I think Polaris had the worst. So I really would be upset that it's Malice, but it's a sandbox now. So as you bringing up Shadow King, it could be Shadow King, and if you have Sydney being, not that was her name, Cyrus. I don't know her, the person from Stranger Things. If she's Jean Grey in this thing, which I'm really upset about, but if that's a big if, I could be wrong, or the people who are saying that's her, it could be wrong, but if it's Jean Grey's in it, then you can get Shadow King, you get Malice. I can't think of other characters that hopping around. But yeah, but at the same time, me saying all that, I think the sentiment that Cal is saying is what the fans will say, and this will play right to all the fans want is having, it's been a fun sort of Spider-Man. It's not my Spider-Man, but it's one that everyone kind of likes. And you got the Punisher in it, and you have the Hulk, and you have some other surprise guest stars where people will cheer and say the X-Men are finally here. The only thing I can say if Jean Grey's in it is that she can't have a romance with old ass Wolverine. So at least I can say that. So yes,
Oh yes, she can.
no, she can not with these kids. Well,
Oh
actually,
yes, she
They'll let
can.
Wolverine do it. They won't let anyone else. Colossus, you
Yep.
can't get with Kitty. We won't let
All
you.
right, because it doesn't matter with Wolverine because you can't say the whole age gap with Wolverine because Wolverine's like over 100 years old.
He's 100 years old. You can't.
That's
You
right.
can't.
So he's already so his age gap doesn't apply because he's pretty much stuck in time for them. So it's like, hey, how old are you? 150. Oh, come on, those are ridiculous ages. Just let them be together. Love is love.
Yeah. Now it's love. When you get to the character you like, it's love is love. And then
Yep,
you get
that's how it
to the
works.
other characters, it's like, ooh, creepy. Ooh,
Yep,
creepy.
that's
Oh,
that is
creepy.
how it works.
Ooh, what's her
Okay.
name? 18. He's 18, she's 17. Ooh, creepy. Like,
Ugh.
but anyway, we got Brand New Day. It really, actually, no, it does have a little to do with the fact that well, no, his whole thing was wiped out and there was no going back to what it was before. This one obviously is going back, and they're gonna find out. I knew you. I knew you in the past. Oh my God, I love you. But anyway, hey, is someone looking like
Well, I'm hoping this is since you brought it up, I wasn't thinking about it, but I hope it's a brand new day for the Incredible Hulk as well because he ever since him losing that fight to Thanos, they never let him get back. Never. So, with that being said, hopefully I'm hoping he doesn't get punked. I'm hoping we don't see the Hulk just screaming in an armbar. You know, hoping we get Jay George back the way that we're supposed to.
well, that's the I mean, would be the hardest thing. How do we get back? Well, and which Hulk are we getting? You know,
Just how about letting them win a fight? That's all you got to do.
the Marvel. Well, it wasn't always the Marvel model. The Marvel model. Well, her part is when the Hulk was running to Spider-Man and the Avengers and all these guys. He hadn't proved his worth to Marvel at that point yet. He was a character that Stan and Jack and Steve Ditko kind of put their energy, more so Stan and Jack initially, but he was kind of floating around. So he was, you know, semi anti hero. I mean, Banner at times wouldn't even show up, but when he'd show up, he'd kind of be, oh my God, I turned back. I can't fight. I got to get out of here. And it's like, wouldn't Banner be happy to turn back? But he was, it was writing to the scene. So, now he's weak. He's got to get out of there. So he was kind of like, he fought Thor, and, we saw that Thor was stronger. We saw he went against Fantastic Four. He was stronger than the Thing. But he said, hey, the only one people I fear out of you is Thor and that hammer and that sort of thing. So then Spider-Man, and so as that sort of thing happened, I think Ditko and Steve Ditko says me and Stan, got together and put more, new ideas, and it was successful. Which of course they did bring, Bruce Banner as a regular part, not just like a big character. They had Glenn Talbot. They brought back Betty Ross and Thunderbolt Ross, and it kind of the book had its dynamic, and then it just took off after that with I think Kirby for a little while, Romita for a second, and then I think Herb Trimpe. No, Marie Severin, and then Herb Trimpe, and then it became Marvel's mascot in the '70s. So I'm always wishing the Hulk can get back to where it's because we even had a TV show. But when he becomes a punching bag, that's when I'm kind of like, hey guys, come on, this he eclipsed the Thing, even though thing eclipsed him initially, they were like, oh, he's just a bad copy. And then he eclipsed the thing later on. This thing became more of a mascot and kind of a nice, fun character. And this one, and the Hulk had all the tragedy now. So that's about it. So we get in the Hulk, and he will
Well,
be an
for those of you
adversary.
guys, who are into some speculation, Amazing
Oh,
Spider-Man 328 is a Hulk versus Spider-Man issue where Spider-Man has the what do you have the Captain Universe power and he punches the Hulk into orbit. So while I don't wish for that to happen, it may happen. So if you need a copy at a nominal price, hit me up
why would you even bring that up?
because I got to sell these books.
I'm just saying, like, I was a big fan of Captain Universe, and it seemed like he was like the Green Lantern of Marvel. Like, even though it wasn't one person, like you would get the power, say you or I get the powers, and we'd have to figure out how to use them. And then they turned it into you get the powers and you get infinite amount of powers waiting for this thing, and it turned into 9 issues of waiting for the big thing that he was going to fight. So he slapped around the Marvel villains. I guess mostly the villains. I can't. It was all the villains that he smacked around, and the Hulk. But Hulk was an anti-hero guy in what's it, Vegas. I guess he was a Mister Fix-It version at that point. So, but there's also Todd McFarlane going back to the Hulk, so it was a must-buy. And I think at that point I was just kind of like, okay, yeah. But over time I've just kind of just like, every time they brought Captain Universe back, it was, oh, Sue Storm has infinite power. Oh, okay, this nobody has infinite power and knocked out the Juggernaut. Then the Juggernaut gets the power. I was just like, to go back and read the Micronauts and the what's the name. It wasn't infinite power. It was kind of how you use it. So, but anyway, if they put that in here, that would be crazy. But it'd be cool to see. Well, not the visual of Spider-Man's mask and the Captain Universe mask. I always like the Captain Universe outfit, and or the one that Alex Ross did. Um, Man, I got a side note on that. I just got to remember to tell you something afterwards. But anyway, I'm pretty sure, it felt like DC, felt like they were going to knock Spider-Man out. And then, Marvel showed all the guest stars, and the guest star thing is what they use to really prop up these stories. And it's an easy work through. They saw, Superman and Batman, and they're just like, hell, we can beat y'all with our Civil War. And it seems like they were able to do that. So it's a formula that works, but for me it's kind of iffy. But people are gonna want to see Punisher, Hulk, this, that, and the other, and we'll see what happens. And Spider-Man trying to go up against all these adversaries, and/or slapping around all of these villains because he's going through some weird mutation. The last time you remember when he last had the mutation, he just had the three. had the 4 more arms. It's like, what do you think this is going to be? My last question. What's the mutation going to lead to now?
What did he say?
On this thing?
He didn't say an evolution. What did he say again? Rebirth.
Okay. Spider Total?
Nah, but they already put Ezekiel into the movies with Spider-Woman, so they can't do that storyline.
Oh, they did. What about Morlon? Can you use him?
I guess you don't really need this storyline to bring him in, but yeah, you could do that.
Morlon hits harder than the Hulk. Hulk has hit Spider-Man.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure he does.
I thought that would get that. You didn't really bite too much on it, but anyway,
He hits harder than the Hulk. If he hit harder than the Hulk, you would be dead. So,
all right, everybody. I'm pretty sure you guys are checking it out. But if you check it out, and you obviously, there's so many Spider-Man fans and so much homecoming to what's the name. You can come here and attack me, say how wrong I am, point out things that I'm missing that are key to the character that are in these stories, and like, comment, and do whatever. Spin a rack.
Don't attack Petey. We're out.
We're out.